Imagine you're watching a video of a party and suddenly a stranger starts talking. But here's the problem: the stranger is you. That high-pitched, thin, slightly awkward voice coming from the speakers feels like a total lie. Your brain is screaming, "I don't sound like that." But why does the rest of the world hear a version of you that you absolutely hate? The universal cringe. We've all been there. You're having a great day, someone pulls out a phone to record a funny moment, and then comes the playback. As soon as you hear yourself speak, your mood drops. You might even feel a little embarrassed. It's one of those micro problems that seems small, but it actually hits our identity pretty hard. You've spent your whole life inside your own head, listening to what you thought was a deep, resonant, maybe even professional-sounding voice. Then, a 30-second voice note arrives and destroys that entire reality. It feels like a betrayal. You start wondering if everyone has been lying to you your whole life. Do I really sound that nasally? Is my pitch actually that high? Why didn't anyone tell me? Before you go down a spiral of self-doubt, you need to know that there is a very specific, very scientific reason for this. And no, it's not because you have an annoying voice. It's because you are the only person on the planet who is hearing a remix of your voice, while everyone else is hearing the studio version. The two paths of sound. To get to the bottom of this, we have to look at how sound actually gets into your brain. Most of us think we hear through our ears, and while that's true, it's not the whole story. There are actually two different ways sound reaches your inner ear: air conduction and bone conduction. When you listen to a bird chirping or a car driving by, that's air conduction. The sound waves travel through the air, enter your ear canal, hit your eardrum, and eventually reach your cochlea, the part of the ear that turns vibrations into signals for the brain. This is the standard way we interact with the world. But when you speak, your brain is doing double duty. It's receiving the sound waves that come out of your mouth and travel through the air to your ears, air conduction. But it's also receiving vibrations from a much closer source: your own body, the subwoofer inside your skull. Think about where your vocal cords are. They're tucked away in your neck. When you speak, those cords vibrate to create sound. But those vibrations don't just go out into the air. They also travel through your neck, your jaw, and your skull. Because bone is much thicker and denser than air, it acts like a natural filter. If you've ever stood outside a nightclub and only heard the thump, thump, thump of the bass, you know that low-frequency sounds travel through solid objects better than high-frequency sounds. Your skull does the exact same thing. It picks up the low, deep vibrations of your vocal cords and carries them directly to your inner ear. So inside your head, you are hearing a version of your voice that has the bass boost turned all the way up. It sounds fuller, richer, and deeper. You are basically walking around with a high-end subwoofer built into your head. This is the version of yourself you've known since you were a toddler. It's your internal voice, and to you, it is the only truth. The recording reality check. Now let's look at what happens when you hit record on your phone. A microphone is a simple device. It doesn't have access to your jawbone or your skull. It can only hear the vibrations that travel through the air. When you play that recording back, you are hearing your voice through air conduction only. The bass boost from your bones is gone. The rich, vibrating warmth you're used to is missing. What's left is the thinner, higher-pitched version that actually made it out of your mouth and into the room. This is why the recording sounds so wrong to you. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing your face, but then looking at a photo and realizing your nose is slightly crooked or your eyes aren't perfectly symmetrical. We get used to our own, filtered version of reality, and the raw data feels like an attack on our identity. Why do we actually feel cringe? Psychologists have a name for this feeling: voice confrontation. It's not just about the pitch of the sound, it's about the gap between our self-perception and reality. We use our voices to project who we are. We want to sound confident, kind, or authoritative. When we hear a recording that sounds different from what we expected, it creates a glitch in our brain. We start to notice things we never noticed before, maybe a slight lisp, a repetitive habit of saying like, or a nasal tone we didn't think we had. Because we aren't used to hearing these things, they stand out to us like a sore thumb. It's the same reason you might hate a photo of yourself even if your friends think you look great. You are looking for the you that exists in your head, and when you don't find it, your brain reacts with a cringe response as a way to distance itself from that stranger on the screen. The good news, you're the only one who cares. Here is the most important thing to remember. No one else thinks your voice sounds weird. Think about your friends or family. When they speak to you in person and then you hear them on a recording, do they sound like a completely different person? Usually, no. They just sound like themselves. That's because you have always heard them through air conduction. You've never had the privilege of hearing the bass-boosted version of their voice inside their skull. To the rest of the world, your recorded voice is just your voice. It's the voice they love, the voice they listen to for advice, and the voice they recognize instantly. They don't hear the thinness or the high pitch because they don't have anything to compare it to. You are the only person who is disappointed by your voice because you're the only one who has been lied to by your own bones. Can you change your voice? A lot of people ask if they can fix their recorded voice. While you can certainly work on your breathing or your posture to make your voice sound a bit more supported, the fundamental sound isn't going to change much. And honestly, it doesn't need to. The real fix is much simpler: desensitization. People who work in radio, podcasting, or YouTube eventually stop hating their voices. It's not because their voices changed. It's because they listened to themselves so many times that the recorded version became their new normal. Their brains eventually accepted that the air-conducted version is how they sound to the world, and the cringe simply evaporated. If you want to get over the voice confrontation feeling, the best thing you can do is record yourself more often. Send more voice notes. Listen back to your own videos. After a while, the surprise wears off. You start to recognize the nuances of your own speech, and you stop comparing it to the vibrating version in your head, the evolution of the head voice. You might wonder why evolution would give us this confusing double hearing system. Scientists think it might be a way for us to monitor our own speech. By hearing our own voice through bone conduction, we can tell if we are speaking too loudly or too softly, even in a noisy environment. It's like an internal feedback loop that helps us communicate better. If we only heard ourselves through the air, we might struggle to regulate our volume in a crowded room or during a storm. The bone path gives us a direct, clear line to our own vocal performance, even when the world around us is chaotic. How microphones play a role. It is worth noting that not all microphones are created equal. Sometimes, your voice does sound a bit worse on a recording, but that might actually be the equipment's fault. Cheap smartphone microphones are designed to pick up the middle frequencies, the ones most important for understanding speech. They often cut out the very low and very high frequencies to save data and reduce background noise. This can make a voice sound tinny or flat. If you use a high-quality condenser microphone, it captures a much wider range of sound. It picks up the airiness and the subtle warmth that a phone mic might miss. While it still won't give you that skull vibration feeling, a good mic will make your voice sound much more natural and human compared to a cheap one. The folder trick. If you want to experience your real voice right now without a microphone, there's a famous trick you can try. Take 2 folders or 2 pieces of cardboard and hold them up against the sides of your head, just in front of your ears. They should act like blinkers on a horse, blocking the path between your mouth and your ears. When you talk now, the sound waves from your mouth have to travel out into the room and bounce back to your ears, rather than traveling directly along the side of your face. This reduces the air conduction shortcut and gives you a much more accurate idea of what you sound like to a person standing across from you. It's usually a bit of a shock, but it's the closest you can get to hearing yourself live the way the world hears you. Final thoughts. So, the next time you hear yourself on a recording and feel that urge to delete the file and hide under a blanket, just remember the science. You aren't annoying, and your voice isn't bad. You're just experiencing the loss of your internal subwoofer. Your skull has been giving you a private bass-boosted concert your entire life, and the recording is just the raw, unplugged version. It's honest, it's human, and most importantly, it's exactly what the people who care about you love to hear. The weirdness is all in your head, literally. Thanks for hanging out and diving into this micro problem with me. If you've ever felt the voice cringe, let me know in the comments how you deal with it. Do you just ignore it, or have you actually gotten used to it? If you found this helpful, feel free to share it with someone who hates their own voice. It might just make them feel a whole lot better. I'll see you in the next one where we tackle another one of life's strange little mysteries.